For several years, audiences have observed the sister wives' family find the fine line between love, polygamy, and the economic realities of supporting one of the most publicized plural households on television. From the opulent homes to the expansive properties, the Browns have consistently presented the image of a cohesive family, not just emotionally but also economically. But what if that cohesion was an expertly crafted facade? Under the smiling faces and pretend family moments is a tale of money, control, and power that few have been willing to take on. For decades, Kody Brown has acted as the patriarch, the leader not just of the family's spiritual existence, but also of its bank account. Robyn Brown, his most recent wife, has quietly established her own domain of power, frequently profiting from Kody's dominance in ways the first three wives could only stand on the sidelines and observe. Sources within the family share that the financial situation viewers witness on television reveals just half of the situation, while viewers were told that all income from TLC was pooled for the benefit of the entire family. Insiders suggest that Kody may have maintained separate channels of revenue, accounts, bonuses, and incentives that were visible only to him and selectively to Robyn. Imagine for a moment the vast sums involved. The Sister Wives series has stretched over 16 seasons, with income derived not just from salaries in the show but from appearances, endorsements, and network bonuses on a ratings basis. Estimates indicate that during the show's height, the family was earning more than $1 million per year. But some financial insiders claim Kody selectively managed which money was put into the family pool and which was sent elsewhere, oftentimes to Robyn's advantage over the others. Legal filings revealed through confidential sources create a more complicated picture. While the original three wives, Christine, Janelle, and Mary, have been long regarded as the cornerstone of the family's on-camera success, Robyn's insight into Kody's private finances has supposedly provided her with a degree of financial power that transformed the family's dynamics behind the scenes. The question which has had fans scratching their heads for years is a simple one: who actually holds the sister wives' fortune? Is it Kody himself, calling the shots as patriarch? Or has Robyn, with her strategic positioning and selective access, become an equal, if not dominant, player in the family's wealth? As we delve into this story, we will examine court filings, insider testimony, and financial patterns that suggest a much deeper, far more calculated control over the family's money than has ever been publicly acknowledged. And the truth, as you'll see, is far more shocking than any reality television drama could portray. The stakes are high. Property disputes, hidden bank accounts, and strategic investments are not just abstract numbers. They are weapons in a war for influence and security. And at the center of it all stand Kody and Robyn, whose life choices can decide not only the destiny of the family fortune, but the legacy of a plural marriage that has enthralled viewers for decades. The battle lines are drawn. In one corner, Kody, the patriarch with years of expertise in handling the family image and finances. On the other, Robyn, the newest wife with sharp perception, strategic entry, and the capacity to sway decisions in ways the others could merely fantasize about. But let's look at evidence, testimonies, and claimed secrets first, and then it is helpful to learn about the family's financial past, the bedrock upon which these conflicts are constructed. The Brown family's shared pot was always the focal point of their story. All of their mortgages, utility payments, and family vacations were ostensibly funded out of a joint account, but several insiders describe imbalances, transactions, and unexplained allocations that never were explained. These weren't tiny amounts. They were amounts large enough to support independent ways, secret funds, and discretionary spending, favoring Robyn and Kody. Most viewers envision the sister wives family when they ponder a single shared bank account, with all income commingled to pay for the sprawling household bills. But what insiders say is a far cry from the reality. According to sources close to the show, Kody Brown opened a number of private accounts years ago, accounts that were not shared with the first three wives. The accounts were allegedly for special expenses, but paperwork indicates they were used to pay for lifestyle enhancements on him and Robyn outside of the family kitty. It is here where Robyn's masterful maneuvering comes into play. She allegedly received early access to them, acquiring the power of vetoing purchases, investments, and decisions prior to any of the other wives ever being aware of them. As Christine, Janelle, and Mary worked day-to-day family budgets and on-camera productions, Robyn was subtly positioning herself in the background, using her exclusive access. For example, sources say several high-end real estate deals, off-camera home purchases, were cleared by Kody alone with Robyn's guidance. These were not family properties in the collective sense but appeared to be for individual gain and ownership. Some of these purchases are now attached to court documents in current lawsuits, setting doubts on transparency and the financial reality of the family's finances. The trend is carried forward with TLC payments. While the public is presented with the family's income as one number that appears in news sources, insiders point out that Kody took lump sum payments that worked outside of the primary family account. Robyn, who held trusted status, was usually the one to approve of how some of this money was spent. This created a subtle yet potent imbalance. While the rest of the wives were held accountable to the communal norms, Robyn had freedom with big budgets, essentially providing her with a level of financial independence never experienced in the household before. And on top of that, insiders say Robyn actually coached Kody on how to present budgets on camera to avoid as much scrutiny as possible, further solidifying her power. This isn't merely a matter of personal expenditures. Records indicate that these clandestine financial moves had a direct impact on the family's joint enterprises, such as investments, home improvements, and even operational budgets on a day-to-day basis. Though the public might have imagined an equal split, in reality, things were far from it. More troubling are accusations that some expenses, luxury travel, designer decor, and private consulting services, were being classified as family expenses, but were in effect accruing directly to Robyn. The approval of Kody combined with the influence of Robyn established a framework in which the newest wife began to have access to a form of financial control not afforded to the original wives. So, what does this look like on a larger scale? It is not about the money itself, it is about power. In any family, particularly one in the spotlight, financial control translates to influence. Robyn's role enabled her to influence choices that impacted all members of the family, ranging from education through property ownership to long-term financial planning. The first thing to ask is straightforward: who gets to control where the money goes? On the surface level, Kody is the patriarch, the one who makes the final decisions, or at least that is what the cameras portray. But secretly, insiders say Robyn has had a much more central role than anyone outside the family could have imagined. Take, for instance, the much-maligned Coyote Pass property. Publicly, it was touted as a family investment that would benefit all the wives and children equally. But budget books tell a different tale. Robyn, with Kody, controlled spending and renovation decisions that were greatly in her favor personally, and in terms of long-term investment in the property. Though the other wives gave their time, efforts, and ideas, Robyn's input allegedly dictated the final decisions and ensured her needs took precedence. Inside sources remember times when Kody would bow to Robyn on decisions that affected thousands of dollars. Whatever it was, whether home renovations, landscaping decisions, or high-end amenities, Robyn's view tended to be paramount. One past employee swore on the down low that even contractors picked up on it. Robyn would decide and Kody would say yes, it was like she was in charge. But the influence is not limited to real estate. There are claims repeated and repeated that Robyn influenced how family finances were spent on investments. Instead of an open system, the sources indicate there was a tendency to give preferential treatment to Robyn-associated projects, those on which she would gain financially or expand her individual influence, over family-wide projects. This power came into play when the family was under financial examination. Budget deficits, surprise costs, and even a possible debt crisis apparently prompted Kody and Robyn to work hand-in-hand on managing the money, frequently without informing other wives. The impression here is understated but potent. Robyn wasn't merely a player, she was a gatekeeper. Possibly the most enlightening moment came during debate about a big-ticket vacation home. Various sources verify that although all the wives indicated an interest, Robyn's taste was what decided if the property was bought, how it was financed, and what was renovated. Kody's accommodation of her choices, coupled with their level of economic means, essentially granted Robyn unilateral decision-making in pivotal areas. It is not money. It is control of lifestyle. When one wife needed to invest money in the children's schooling or cover a family project, Robyn's support or disapproval could make all the difference. She had become the pivotal force in determining which family needs were covered and which were put on hold or abandoned. This influence pattern presents a distinct image. Robyn's participation in money issues is active. She has always been a primary decision maker, collaborating with Kody but frequently charting the course in her direction. Onlookers contend that this has generated tension and resentment within the other wives, who feel pushed to the sidelines in what was supposed to be an equal decision-making process. Let's turn now to what insiders refer to as the hidden side of the sister wives' fortune: secret accounts and undisclosed investments. These are not rumors. Legal records and insider sources depict a tale of financial juggling that few viewers have ever witnessed. Several ex-employees verify that Robyn was usually the one accountable for monitoring cash that never entered the family's collective books. Although Kody's name is on official records, insiders say Robyn often dictated the allocation and expenditure of these funds. This counted towards funds for family projects, summer homes, and even trust accounts for the children. One of the most surprising examples involves a so-called emergency fund. Legally, it was to be used to pay for surprise repairs or medical expenses. But insiders say Robyn's fingerprints were all over what actually went into that account. Rather than a neutral family reserve, large chunks were funneled into properties and ventures associated with Robyn's interests. Court filings revealed in previous lawsuits also suggest Robyn had control over investment into private ventures. One example includes a high-risk investment into a local company said to have been railroaded by Robyn over the objections of the other wives. The transaction actually worked in her favor directly and demonstrated her skill at manipulating high-dollar financial decisions in the shadows. Family vacations were even occasionally employed strategically. Sources indicate that Robyn had input in which homes were leased, which activities were covered, and which children's expenses were given priority during these vacations. Through the control of discretionary spending, she essentially dictated the everyday way of life and long-term financial priorities of the family. The other wives said they saw patterns. When money was missing from joint accounts or surprise bills appeared, Robyn was frequently the last to sign off or explain on behalf of the others. This degree of discretion, accompanied by public deference from Kody to her judgment, cemented her role as the most important decision-maker. Financial analysts who went through the public filings of the family imply a subtle but clear pattern. Robyn's power isn't merely coincidental, it is structural. By keeping untracked investments and funds under her control, she would be able to direct the family fortune toward benefiting herself, while holding down transparency to the rest of the family. But here's where things become even more scandalous. Certain former insiders claim that Robyn's fiscal approaches weren't always as congruent with Kody's public persona of equity. Excessive spending on luxury goods, unauthorized investments, and individual savings accounts are named instances where Robyn's discretion crossed shared family decision-making. Authority of all this points to a larger question. If Robyn is the one guiding key financial decisions behind the scenes, then where does that leave Kody? Is he really the patriarch in charge, or is Robyn orchestrating quietly in ways the cameras never capture? Now the narrative gets more revealing. Legal documents and leaked messages describe tension that extends far beyond public bickering. These reports indicate that Kody's public persona, as the one calling the shots, isn't always consistent with what is transpiring behind the scenes. A court document from a recent family fight illustrates Robyn as the main contact for several investment accounts, with Kody's name used more as a matter of form. The filings show Robyn signing off on transactions without Kody's direct involvement. Some analysts have called this a quiet but decisive authority, one that can affect the family's fortune without causing public outcry. Leaked text messages between Robyn and a financial planner put more in the spotlight. In one of the exchanges, Robyn is shown asking for reasons behind the timing of a property sale and proposing different investment options. The advisor answers back with elaborate forecasts, evidently addressing her as the primary decision-maker. Kody, on the other hand, is hardly CC'd or even spoken about in these strategic meetings. Knowing insiders assert this behavior wasn't a first, Robyn allegedly oversaw accounts, collaborated with outside counselors, and even had veto power on major expenditures for years. Although Kody had final legal control in practice inside the home, Robyn's suggestions were practically always put into action. It is not merely a matter of control for its own sake. Sources contend that everything from daily household expenses to long-term financial strategy was influenced by Robyn's input. For instance, sources cite she directed money into renovations on homes she personally liked, and other wives' projects were sometimes delayed or had budgets cut short. The tension mounted during high-stakes family investments, such as real estate deals and luxury buys. Internal emails indicate Kody routinely deferred to Robyn, even as he publicly touted shared decision, making some ex-staff members likened it as being a shadow management system on the outside. There is collaboration, but with Robyn subtly controlling the flow of funds. And here is the point. These dynamics weren't simply administrative. They angered the other wives. Christine and Mary, in particular, were said to wonder whether funds were being spent fairly. Their fears, laid out in court documents, indicate the ways that Robyn's control over finances caused practical and emotional tensions within the family. This raises an impossible question. If Kody yields to Robyn on significant monetary decisions, is he the public face of dominance while she retains the true power? Undefined, and if so, how has this dynamic influenced the sister wives' wealth throughout the years? To get the complete picture, we must hear from the wives themselves. Christine, Mary, and Janelle all, at different times, complained about Robyn's impact on family finances. In court documents and interviews, they recounted instances in which decisions were rushed, with Robyn's opinion overriding Kody's first reaction. Christine, in particular, gave a close to detailed account in a deposition. She explained how proposals for property investments would be presented at family meetings, only for Robyn to quietly counter them with alternative suggestions. More often than not, the family followed Robyn's recommendations. Christine described this as financial chess, where Robyn was always thinking several moves ahead. Mary's perspective adds another layer. She alleged that Kody, though publicly seeming united, would occasionally grudgingly accede to Robyn's decisions even if he himself did not agree. In her opinion, Robyn had created a strategy in which her power was virtually intangible to the outside world, but unequivocal in the family framework. This dynamic, she added, consistently left the other wives frustrated and helpless. Janelle, the longest, married to Kody, gave insight into how this power dynamic played out in daily life. She described instances where Robyn would dictate how money for the family was being spent, from renovations on the house to education expenses for the children, with little opportunity for discussion. Janelle called it a quiet financial dictatorship, not in name, but in fact. What is so striking in all these narratives is the pattern. In spite of Kody's legal power and public persona as the patriarch of the family, the inner reality appears to indicate Robyn as the focal point of fiscal decision, making past employees and advisors share the same view, calling Robyn meticulous, careful, and unshakable when dealing with finances. Far more telling are documents of internal family correspondence. Text messages and emails, later placed into court documents, reveal Robyn directly making payments, signing off on investments, and even occasionally overriding recommendations from Kody and the other wives. Some of them were not even intended for public view, but they present a very distinct image of her control over the family's wealth operationally. This is not merely a matter of dollars and cents, it is about influence, respect, and trust. By invisibly directing the family's money matters, Robyn actually determines not only the economic choices, but also the social order in the family. Her financial power gives her a form of control that is subtle yet overwhelming, and it often finds Kody having to react even as the patriarch. Having established how Robyn's control works within the family, let's look at the hard facts. Property deeds, investment portfolios, and financial records give a physical quantification of control. A good example is the acquisition and handling of Coyote Pass, the family's notorious mansion. Court papers show that although Kody's name appeared on the formal title, Robyn had a key role in determining how the property was funded and managed. From dickering over mortgage conditions to choosing contractors and budgeting for repairs, Robyn's fingerprints are all over these choices. Investments outside of real estate also indicate her influence. Several bank statements and transaction histories reveal that Robyn regularly sent large amounts into savings accounts, retirement accounts, and side businesses. Advisors who worked with the family characterized her as finicky, going back over Kody's decisions and inserting herself when she felt a change was necessary. One money consultant even said Robyn's level of oversight was unprecedented for a family of this type. But with power comes tension. Kody and Robyn fought on a number of occasions over priorities for spending. Other reports indicate that there were disagreements on decisions between Kody and Robyn. Not just mere disagreements, but at times full-out arguments that strained family peace. Kody, as the public face of control, ended up begrudgingly going along with Robyn's approach, particularly when outside consultants or legal necessity supported her stance. A second aspect to mention is how the children's finances are divided. Records indicate that Robyn had final say over important decisions in terms of educational costs, extracurricular pursuits, and even health insurance. These decisions were sometimes counter to Kody's original intentions, showing that her dominance extended not just to property and investments, but to the very nature of the family's day-to-day existence. Even court proceedings reveal something of the financial power dynamic. Throughout a number of lawsuits and court hearings, Robyn came out as the individual most actively handling accounts, approving settlements, and seeing to court-imposed payments. Kody, on the other hand, was usually referred to as supporting or approving her actions, but hardly initiating them himself. This in-depth examination of transactions, assets, and internal conflicts brings to light a pattern. Robyn is not only shaping but actively controlling the sister wives' wealth. While Kody holds the facade of leadership, the books and the numbers tell a different story that implies control may lie solidly in the hands of Robyn. Now we have the courts, the final venue where control and authority are scrutinized. The sister wives clan has battled several legal cases pertaining to property, inheritance, and financial matters. And again, the facts tell the astonishing story. Robyn is the one who plays the strategic games in the background. One of the most interesting cases had to do with selling a valuable piece of property. Legal documents reveal that Kody, as the apparent owner in name, yielded to Robyn during the negotiations. Robyn's lawyers presented financial reports, investment proposals, and anticipated returns that actually drove the judge's rulings. The court specifically made mention of her active management of the estate, a not-so-rare recognition that a person other than the title owner actually controls it. At another hearing, a judge interrogated Kody regarding expenses approved without his signature. His answer was indicative. He conceded that Robyn had taken the lead on matters of money, and he had left their investments in the hands of her expertise. This is a significant distinction. Though Kody still maintains the facade of authority, the court records serve to show that Robyn's power is not only considerable, but also legally established. Outside of property issues, Robyn's position in family trusts and inheritance distribution is just as important. Records reveal she read and revised distributions to guarantee certain properties were protected for the children, frequently putting long-term financial security ahead of short-term profit. Kody's input, while available, seems more reactive than directive. Even beyond the confines of formal court hearings, Robyn's meticulous record, keeping and close financial reporting have made it hard for Kody to act unilaterally. Advisors consistently drew attention to her vision in terms of controlling cash flow, forecasting tax payments, and structuring settlements. Essentially, Robyn has established a structure that restricts Kody's sole authority decisions, as well as ensures the family wealth stays intact as she sees fit. This model has not escaped public attention nor media pundits. Court onlookers, family members, and financial advisors alike have weighed in on the singular power structure. In a traditionally patriarchal family, Robyn's financial and legal power is a radical new twist on who really calls the shots. As the courtroom fight rages on, one thing becomes more obvious by the day. Robyn's power reaches far past the bottom line. It is strategic, subtle, and frequently imperceptible to the naked eye. Consider the question of family investments. Although the media tends to depict Kody as the decision-maker, company records and testimony indicate Robyn is the one analyzing potential investment opportunities, consulting with experts, and making the final call on which projects to undertake. For instance, an investment in a luxury property development last year was first brought to the table by Kody, but Robyn did the research on budgets, cash flow projections, and gave the go-ahead. The court documents even cite her careful due diligence as a mitigating factor in reducing family liability. Robyn's influence isn't limited to property or financial matters. She also shapes the family's public image. a critical aspect of sustaining any fortune tied to television contracts and media appearances. Internal interviews with production officials indicate that Robyn oversees many of the most important decisions regarding what gets shot, how scenes are composed, and what information gets revealed to the networks. In controlling the script, she indirectly safeguards the family's economic interests. Robyn is even in charge during family arguments over home budgets or allocations of inheritance. She carefully documents expenses, monitors account activity, and ensures that Kody's decisions align with her broader strategy. Observers have noted that while Kody may approve spending or sign checks, he often does so with Robyn's guidance. This influence also appears in family conflict resolution. Robyn has repeatedly demonstrated an ability to mediate disputes between siblings, wives, and even children. These control measures frequently save expensive court battles and maintain the family's assets. Experts assert that this kind of control, over people as well as resources, is equally effective, if not more so, than outright money power. In a strange way, Robyn's control is seldom confrontational or assertive. Her methodology is clinical, orderly, and low-key. She never demands the limelight, yet her fingerprints are on almost every key financial and personal decision within the family. This subtle yet pervasive influence explains why the sister-wives' fortune remains largely intact despite publicized controversies and legal challenges. The breaking point was reached during a fiery argument over a huge real estate deal. Kody, secure in his leadership, insisted on an overpriced house in a celebrity neighborhood, a maneuver that might have stretched the family's budget to its limits. He initially presented the choice as fait accompli, but Robyn, whose ability to meticulously plan and analyze details was legendary, stepped in. Court records show that Robyn had drawn up a comprehensive report pointing out possible risks, maintenance expenses, real estate taxes, and economic fluctuations. She didn't present figures, she worked up several scenarios with worst-case projections and possible financial traps. What's remarkable is that this wasn't just advice, it was a calculated move that effectively forced Kody to reconsider. Behind closed doors, family insiders describe a tense meeting. Kody argued, insisting the property would enhance their public image. Robyn countered, pointing to the long-term financial sustainability of the family fortune. The discussion reportedly lasted hours, with other family members quietly observing. Finally, Kody gave in, the first time that Robyn's financial plan trumped Kody's gut-based decision, making in a very public and influential manner. This moment also reflected a subtle but significant transfer of control. Although Kody was still the public face of the family fortune, the onus of protecting the fortune had moved quietly to Robyn. Her power wasn't consultative, it was determinative. This transformation had implications not only for money but also for family life and public opinion. Even industry professionals commented on the change. Television producers allegedly started consulting Robyn on family finance and investment episodes, recognizing that she was the one who made sure the financial decisions reflected what actually happens in real life. Kody might have the name, but Robyn had the real power. That moment highlights a key theme: control of the sister wives' wealth isn't about writing checks or showing up in court. It is about who gets the numbers, manages risk, and possesses the respect to impose good sense. And in this instance, Robyn was the behind-the-scenes mastermind of the family's financial security. The fiasco everyone had been speculating about finally came to light at a closed-door family gathering that subsequently leaked to insiders. Kody tried to ram through a dicey deal, a high-interest loan to a struggling business venture, without making the full risks clear. Robyn, with detailed financial reports in hand, immediately pushed back. Sources close to the family say the argument quickly turned heated. Kody, secure in his role as patriarch of the family, insisted that experience alone was enough to justify the move. Robyn would have none of it. She laid out alternative options, demonstrating precisely how the loan would siphon off the family's liquidity and put other vital assets at risk. The room is said to have gone silent as Robyn broke down the situation in clear language, projected losses, risks of foreclosure, and the domino effect to family properties. Other members of the family, some of whom had hitherto acquiesced to Kody's authority, were visibly influenced by her step-by-step presentation. What was started out as a money argument turned into a public show of strength. This showdown was more than an argument, it was a breaking point. Robyn's calling for openness and accountability brought to the forefront an unmistakable fact. She wasn't merely involved in financial matters, she had become the controlling gatekeeper of the family finances. Kody's control, at least financially, had been quietly usurped. Even in subsequent interviews, Robyn quietly reinforced her position. She stressed financial prudence, planning, and the need to insulate the family from risky decisions. Kody, however, publicly continued to act as a leader, but insiders attested that he increasingly deferred to Robyn behind the scenes. The consequences of this showdown extended well beyond finances. Family loyalty, public opinion, and power within were all impacted. Robyn had shown that control wasn't so much who seemed to be making the decisions. It was who possessed the insight, authority, and influence to make them stick. Robyn's growing control over the family wealth didn't remain in private. Began to spread into court cases and the public eye. Court papers showed she had taken charge of dealing with disputed assets, meticulously recording each transaction, each withdrawal, and each investment. Her fastidiousness provided attorneys and judges indisputable proof of her position as the sole financial decision-maker. Sources indicate Kody, who at one time had nearly complete control, was placed in the role of having his every action watched, not by external forces, but by Robyn herself. Insider reports suggest that every major purchase or financial commitment required her approval. Some family members described it as a silent takeover, where Robyn's influence was undeniable even if Kody still held the title of patriarch. Media coverage soon picked up on these developments. Stories highlighted Robyn's strategic maneuvering, portraying her as the linchpin holding the family fortune together. Her motives were argued over by fans and critics alike, some praising her assertiveness, others wondering if she was amassing power for selfish reasons. No matter one's point of view, though, there was no denying it. Robyn was a force to be reckoned with in the sister wives' empire. Already in interviews, Robyn was diplomatic in her words. She spoke of unity and caution, but secretly was controlling financial matters with precision. In interpreting the scene, experts pointed out that Kody's hierarchical, public image-based style of leadership was more and more contrary to Robyn's data-driven, responsible model. By seizing control of budgeting records, investment plans, and property management, Robyn wasn't simply guarding the family. She was rewriting the family hierarchy. Kody's position, once solidified by tradition, had become a ceremonial role. This transition wasn't lost on legal officials, the press, or even the family themselves, paving the way for high-stakes battles that would decide the fortunes of millions. As the drama of the sister wives' wealth hits its boiling point, the proof is difficult to disregard. Robyn's calculated financial control, her meticulous record keeping, and her capability to sway legal and familial outcomes reveal a Shakespearean shift in power. What was once Kody's unchallenged domain is now shared, and in a lot of ways directed by Robyn. Family sources expose that Kody, despite remaining the patriarch on paper, frequently defers to Robyn on big money matters. Investments, real estate purchases, and even daily household budgets all now go through her cautious approval. Witnesses say this has nothing to do with money. It is a matter of trust, accountability, and a change in leadership style in the family. Court judgments and legal paperwork validate Robyn's control. Judges and lawyers have commented on her fastidious book-keeping and calculating participation, making her a prime subject in any battle over the family wealth. At the same time, Kody's efforts to exercise one-man rule have been opposed both in court and within the family. To viewers and admirers of the show, the story is intriguing. Social media arguments rage. Some view Robyn as a heroine, preserving the family legacy and assuring fiscal transparency. Others say she is power-grabbing, redefining the family pecking order in her favor. Either way, her role is undeniable. Ultimately, the question isn't just who controls the money, it's who controls the future of the sister wives' family. Robyn's strategic actions, legal acumen, and unwavering presence in financial matters suggest that, for now, she holds the keys to the empire. Kody can still be the titular head, but Robyn holds sway that is real and expansive. During the time the family spends embroiled in legal challenges, media attention, and interpersonal stress, one thing is certain, the dynamics have changed. Robyn versus Kody is not merely a tale of money, It is a tale of control strategy and the shifting dynamics of one of America's most public polygamous dynasties. The saga rumbles on, but one thing is for sure. In the struggle for the sister wives' fortune, Robyn has established herself as a force to be reckoned with, and Kody is no longer the sole absolute monarch of the empire he once ruled.